More transfer portal news here on the Court Storm College Hoops Talk podcast. Brad Underwood is sticking with his European philosophy as the Illinois Fighting Illini were able to add Stefan Vaaks out of the transfer portal, a former Providence Friar, just yesterday on Sunday, April 12th. Stefan Vaaks had a very productive season scoring-wise in his first season of college basketball, playing for Kim English in Providence, Rhode Island. Obviously, the season did not go the way a lot of Friar fans wanted it to. However, Stefan Vaaks was one of the bright spots on what was a rather forgettable season in Providence. Now, I do understand the shooting splits, if we're speaking efficiency, were not great. He shot 40% overall and 35% from three. But I think it's important to consider that oftentimes Stefan Vaaks was really the only guy who could go and kind of get one for Providence. He took a lot of tough shots. There were many instances throughout the season where he was, in a sense, throwing a grenade at the end of the shot clock and just had to take a tough shot. Despite that, he was able to average close to 16 points per game to go with 2.5 rebounds and just over 3 assists. I think this guy is a very, very talented player. Really epitome of what is your prototypical big guard European player, very similar to a Luka Doncic for say, obviously different scale here, college, NBA, all-star. However, I do believe Stefan Vaaks has actually trained with Doncic in the past. But he's from Estonia, and obviously Brad Underwood, he's really gone full Euro with his approach the last couple of seasons. We've seen all the success stories between Marcus Damask, Kasparis Yakuchonis, this past season where he went just all out and recruited straight international guys like Andrei Stojakovic, Benham Rickhouse, the Visage brothers, Petrovic, Merkovic. It's all obviously playing into the whole Balkan Five philosophy that Brad Underwood's ran with now. And I think this is one of the best transfer portal ads. It's probably going to end up going under talked about, maybe just because Stefan Vaaks played at Providence, which despite how crazy and passionate that fan base is, often sometimes goes under the radar in the national landscape media-wise in college basketball. So I think that this is a great get. And when you consider what Illinois should be able to retain, you're likely going to get Jake Davis back. You're likely going to get Andrei Stojakovic back to go with Davin Mirkovic and the Visage brothers, as none of those guys have entered their name to the portal or really announced anything regarding any plans to move following this past season. Illinois is going to be able to roll out one of the most talented lineups that also possesses the most size that we're going to see across college basketball next year. They were already the tallest team in the country this past season with what they had rolling out there, and that's with the 6'2" Kylan Boswell starting every single game. Now we could see lineups where you have Stefan Vaaks, Andrei Stojakovic, Jake Davis, Davin Mirkovic, along with one of the Visage brothers, either Tomislav or Zvonimir. That is a very large lineup, and Stefan Vaaks obviously possesses the versatility to either be on ball where he's handling the rock and running the offense, or he can play off the ball. And when you consider you're bringing in 4 freshmen next year who I believe are all very talented, I don't want to place this level of pressure on Quentin Coleman. I mean, I doubt he watches this podcast. But nonetheless, Quentin Coleman, I think, is going to be in a position to, I'm not necessarily saying he's going to have the out of nowhere impact that Keaton Wagler did this past season. That's obviously a peak scenario, best of the best case scenario, I should say, that you're going to get out of an under-recruited, under-talked about freshman that you have coming in. But Quentin Coleman, I think, has all the tools to be able to be a really just great setup guy that's able to facilitate the ball, able to kind of call his own number and get his own when needed, and just allow the other guys to get to their spots and hit them when they're in stride to be able to knock down shots. And I think having that playmaking between what you're bringing in now in the transfer portal from Stefan Vaaks, along with what Davin Mirkovic can do in the two-man game, along with what his passing out of the post, it's going to really allow these freshmen that Brad Underwood is bringing in for this next season to really just come along, get their feet under themselves, and really adjust to the college speed of the game, where we saw, obviously, last year, Keaton Wagler was not the focal point of the Illini offense until probably mid-December, where they handed him the keys to the car and he drove it as far as he could take him, which was to a Final Four this past year. So I think this is a great get. I do worry overall, while I did speak to how talented and how much size I believe Illinois is going to have this upcoming year, I do kind of worry from an athleticism standpoint. Oftentimes we see with these European players, they are not the most athletic, they are not the most quick. I think Andrei Stojakovic is head over heels going to be their best guy at kind of just having some athleticism, some balance in his shoes that he's going to be able to have in his game going to the basket. We talked about him all year long as one of the best straight line downhill drivers across the sport this past season. And also probably going to be one of their best returning defenders. That's another obvious concern that we often see with European players out on the perimeter. But I think when you have that much size, it just gives you a lot more confidence in your guards, your backcourt players, that they know they have a last line of defense down low between the Ivizic brothers, between Mirkovic. And obviously, when you possess more size and length on the perimeter, it's a lot tougher to get around those guys, no matter how good you might be at breaking other players down or taking guys off the dribble. So I think this is a really, really great get for Brad Underwood. There's obviously a lot more which could come, which we might see transpire in the next couple of days. I've heard that John Blackwell is considering Illinois. I don't know if maybe this move where we see Stefan Vaaks commit to Illinois just yesterday maybe deters Blackwell and maybe he looks elsewhere, like a Duke, like a Michigan, that I've obviously heard him rumored to be talking to, as to where he might end up playing college basketball for his senior season. But I think Stefan Vaaks really does have a lot of untapped potential, even with how productive he was with the numbers he was able to put up this past season. I obviously understand he struggled shooting the ball in spurts throughout the stretches of Big East play. However, some of his best performances were obviously very, very loud. We saw what he did against St. John's at the Garden in what I believe was the second or third game of Big East play, where he just really got hot down the stretch of the second half when St. John's blew that double-digit lead. He's capable of going off for 5 to 6 threes on any given night. And I just think what he can provide you, again, as being someone who's so versatile at being able to play probably 1 through 3 offensively, with how he can handle the ball, he can play make for others, as well as just what he can do as a scorer. This is a really high-powered get that I think is going to take Illinois' offense to the next level. And hey, let me tell you right now, if they're able to land John Blackwell alongside what they got in Stefan Vaaks, and as well as what they should be retaining from their returnees from last year, Illinois got a chance to be preseason #1 team. Honestly, they should have a surefire chance at being able to get to another Final Four, potentially win a national championship. But that's going to take care of everything in terms of my thoughts on Stefan Vaaks announcing his commitment to Illinois for the 26-27 college basketball season. If you stuck around to the end, as always, engage with the content on this channel, like and subscribe, and telling other people about the Court Storm. Everything goes a long, long way. But until the next episode, I'll see you all next time.